Today, I want to test if ChatGPT can create a full-functioning Tetris game all on its own. One rule I have is I cannot write any code, and ChatGPT has to debug and create the logic all by itself. So I started by asking, can you create a Tetris game? Then it lists out 6 steps. The very first one is to create a programming language. So I simply copy each of the steps back to itself and follow each instruction it has. This maybe took me 5 to 10 minutes to follow through the step until I realized this approach doesn't work. Because even though ChatGPT was able to create code for every one of the steps, it's not able to connect these code well. What happened is the variables and the function names will be different, and it's very hard for ChatGPT to debug itself without much human interactions. And then I realized it's not that smart because I was using the ChatGPT 3.5 and not ChatGPT 4. I quickly went to that subscribe and pay $20 a month and then upgraded myself to ChatGPT 4. So now let's try again. So then I jump into ChatGPT 4 and ask, hi, can you write me a Tetris game using JavaScript, HTML, and CSS? ChatGPT 4 quickly say, yeah, I can give you a simple example of Tetris game using these languages. And then it proceeded to give me 3 separate files with tons of code. So obviously, I copied all of these code, pasted into my Visual Studio Code, and then simply hit run. And here is what this initial scaffold looks like. So as you can see, the pieces are appearing, it kind of works, but they are all crammed in this weird top corner of the canvas. The controls are working, but somehow rotation is a little bit weird and all the pieces are wet. So I pointed this out to ChatGPT. Hey, the game size is only this, but it seems like the CSS and HTML is much bigger. After I point out the correct issue, ChatGPT was really quickly to fix and tell me where it went wrong and how I should fix it, how I should replace, or how to do the calculation. And after this fix, I was able to get the game working as expected. Here you can see after I hit refresh, the white lines you made, the board size is a lot smaller than before, and the pieces are then falling all the way to the bottom and all the way to the right, just as expected. But again, we still have to fix the color. This is an easy fix. I simply said, hey, can you make each shape a different color? Certainly, ChatGPT said you can assign them by doing such and update this data. So as you can see here, I assigned this T-shape red. Okay, something's definitely wrong with the rotate function. We're getting this weird U shape. But regardless, we added color now. So now it's time to fix the rotation. So I asked ChatGPT to break down each of the code, what everything does. And after I explain everything, I start realizing something is probably wrong with this chunk of code. Again, at this point, I don't know what is wrong exactly. I just know after this function, the shape is turning up weird. Or like this is the only thing that could be wrong. And ChatGPT quickly realized, it's actually because as the pieces are being rotated, it's also replacing the original matrix, causing the original matrix to be kind of written by the new matrix. So it's kind of like you're rotating it, but at the same time you're rewriting the matrix. So you have this like weird combination of the old and new one. Anyways, it can be resolved by just create a new matrix and store the rotated piece with it. And after that fix, and ChatGPT gave me the code for it, everything is working as expected. So at this point, we're getting something like this. If I hit the full row, if it would disappear, and then you can see it does disappear, great. After having the game basically fully functioning now, I want to add a little bit more other small functionality to make the game more fun and more like a real game. For example, I realized there's no hard drop function. So I quickly went back to ChatGPT and asked, hey, can you add a hard drop function? If I press space, I want the piece to immediately drop. ChatGPT quickly gave me the code. If I press up, the pieces will be dropped immediately. And then I asked, hey, can you add a game score to the system? Every time line is cleared, the player should get 10 score. ChatGPT quickly gave me the code for that. Here you see it's working. Although the score is very, very small on the left, I can't actually see it. So then I asked ChatGPT to fix it with HTML. And after a couple size fixes, again, this is all completely done by ChatGPT. I was able to get the score showing on top quite nicely. You can also see the hard drop function is working very well. Next step is to add a high score function. Again, ChatGPT gave me the code quickly, and we have high score right underneath the score, just like how we wanted. And after fixing all of that, here's what we have. So you see the lines are disappearing as expected, rotating is working, we have colors, we have hard drop, we have score and high score. And you can see the high score keeps going up as the score goes up, because that's the highest score we have. That's all expected. So yeah, that's our fully functioning Tetris game. So now we have the game fully working. What do I think of the process? To be honest, it made more mistake than I thought it would. Like, just by looking at the code, you know where it wants you to fix, but sometimes copy pasting doesn't directly work. We have a little bit of back and forth to make sure all the naming, the variables are consistent, and I did have to do some manual fixes to fix those. For example, game container here, in the original code, it was just container. And I thought this game would be a lot faster, maybe 30 minutes, and I'm done. But in reality, it took around 3 hours. Can someone with no programming skill or background create a game using ChatGPT? I still don't think so at this point. As you could see, in the middle, I have to read the code and even sometimes do some debugging to guide ChatGPT to its right solution. Otherwise, I don't know if we'll ever get there. However, if you just have some basic understanding of the code, you don't even need to know the actual solution. As long as you can kind of pinpoint where the error might be, ChatGPT is pretty good at finding that issue and give you the correct code within seconds. So yeah, overall, I would recommend you should try create a game with ChatGPT yourself. What should I try next?